All right, good afternoon and welcome everyone to our virtual open house. My name is Julia Melnikova and I'm the manager of online technical training at George Brown College. And I will be one of your hosts today. With me today, my colleagues, Geet Amin, who will be joining me as a co-host, along with Iris Rosenbluth and Shimona Bob, who will be moderating the chat questions all throughout the presentation and will join us during the Q&A portion as well. Before we begin, I wanted to go over some housekeeping items. Note that the session is being recorded and will be shared with you after the event. You've probably also noticed that you are all on mute, so you'll remain on mute during the whole presentation and you'll be off camera. As I mentioned, the live chat will be open throughout the whole presentation, so please feel free to drop questions at any time. Iris and Shimona will answer them on the spot, and those questions that will not be answered right there, we'll bring them forward to Q&A session, so all your questions will be answered here today. In terms of today's agenda, Geet and I will do a very quick 10-minute presentation with an overview of our college, our programs, curriculum, and the student experience, and we'll spend the rest of the session addressing your questions. Next slide, Geet, please. Thank you. So first, let me briefly introduce George Brown College if you're not familiar with it. We're a public, fully accredited College of Applied Arts and Technology located in downtown Toronto, Canada, and a leading experiential learning provider. What sets us apart is a robust online delivery method designed to meet the evolving needs of our students and the industry. We offer flexible options such as self-directed on-demand online learning, open enrollment, virtual labs that use cutting-edge simulation software, which my colleague Geet will cover in more detail in his section of the presentation. We also understand that every business has unique needs. That's why we also collaborate closely with the employers to identify their requirements. Companies can choose to enroll employees in a full program or select courses that align with their current or future workforce training needs. Employees can also check with their employers to see if they will cover our training as part of companies' workforce training initiatives. Next slide, Geet, please. Now, allow me to take you on a very quick journey for our distance learning legacy. Fun fact, last year marked a significant milestone for us, the 25th anniversary of our pioneering program, Electronics Technician, which was launched back in 1998. So from CD-ROMs to web-based curriculum, over these years, we proudly held the torch as leaders in distance learning and technical education by developing a range of programs that you can see here on the screen. And since you joined this open house, you're probably interested in one of these programs and more. So we're happy to chat about any of your questions very shortly. Next slide, Geet, please. Thank you. Now, let's explore some of the unique features of our programs that I briefly highlighted already. So all our programs are delivered online, on demand, with an open enrollment and flexible payment options. Students can choose to purchase a course or a full program. Our programs seamlessly integrate theory with practice through proprietary simulation software. This real-world or so-called 3D world practice environments allow students to solve problems in a risk-free space and for employees to train employees virtually, minimizing potential liabilities. Continuous access to learning materials for ongoing practice is absolutely fundamental. So by purchasing our program, students receive but also keep a licensed copy of the simulation software, granting them unlimited access to all program materials even after their graduation. There are also minimal barriers to entry with no academic prerequisites and minimal hardware requirements. Our programs operate on any Windows operating system, making them accessible to a really large audience. Ensuring the quality and integrity of our programs is our top priority. That's why we offer accredited testing, seamlessly integrated into our web-based program materials. Upon completion, official program documents such as certificates, grade reports, and any receipts or invoices will be issued by George Brown College. Now, let's get into the heart of our programs and review some examples of the simulation software and what powers them. So off to you, Geet.
Thank you, Julia. That's wonderful. Thanks a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the open house. I will walk you all through some of the technical side of the program. As Julia mentioned earlier, our programs cover in-depth theory as well as the simulation tools, which will give you the real practical hands-on experience, which are required for all the technical training programs. As you can see on the screen right now, these are some of the 3D worlds. 3D worlds are nothing but the manufacturing environments. You can say, because all our programs are heavily focused on teaching you, preparing you for a career in the manufacturing industry. So anything you'll learn from the programs, it will prepare you to work in the industry respective to the program that you're taking. So this one we are looking at on the screen are the manufacturing environments covered in the PLC Technician 1, PLC 2 automation programs. As you can see, these are very common environments used in the industry, and you will learn how to program this manufacturing environments using the ladder logic program in the background. We will look at some of the ladder logic examples as well in the next few slides. But just to give you a little background on what you will cover in the program is you will come across various lab projects and practical programming examples, which will challenge you to perform certain tasks depending on the question, and it will teach you how to program, troubleshoot, and control these environments using the ladder logic programs. Okay, so moving on to the next slide here. Oops, I don't know why it's not going next. Oh, there we go. So here's a small video presentation that we have prepared for you, giving you a little in-depth, example of how this manufacturing environments look in action. The first scenario is the batch mixer. The next, we're looking at the bottle line plant. So all these manufacturing environments are used in various industries. So for example, batch mixer will be used in chemical and pharmaceutical industry. The bottle line plant will be used in, as well as the bottle line plant will be used in pharmaceutical and beverage industries. Now, as you can see here, the bottles were getting filled with different color of the liquid. This here is the conveyor car wash. Again, all this is controlled by the PLC, and you will learn how to troubleshoot this in manufacturing environments. You will learn how to create ladder logic programs to control this environment. So it's very interactive. You will not only learn the theory in the program, but at the same time, you will get an opportunity to control these environments and how to program and repair and maintain this environments. So here's the elevator example. A lot of common applications that we see around us are controlled by PLC, and not many of us are aware of it. But it shows us that there is a huge demand of PLC technicians to troubleshoot, program, and maintain these applications. This is a silo application used in the agriculture, food, and produce industries, as well as the traffic light we see every day is controlled by the PLC. And time and time there will be situations where it will need repair and maintenance, and for that they will need the PLC technicians, and which they will learn from our program. Moving on to the next slide here, we'll look at one of the practical programming example closely. So as you can see on the screen, this is one of the more than 100, 200 examples you'll come across when you take our programs. In this example, it is asking you to modify the ladder logic program on the right-hand side. We try to fit everything on one screen. I hope it's visible to you guys. So the question here is asking you to modify the ladder program that's shown on the right side of the screen. It's telling you to add 20 units of solution A to pump 1, add 10 units of solution B to pump 2, and then there are different programming instructions you have to add on the ladder program, which will turn on the batch mixer, which will heat up the mixture until certain set point. And then once that is done, it will drain the batch mixer and repeat the entire process. So this is just to give you an idea on how in-depth hands-on experience you will get from these programs. So you will not only learn about the theory side of it, but once you learn a particular concept in theory, there will be a practical programming example or a lab project provided just right there, so that you can click on it, launch it with the simulation software, and learn the practical side of it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Here's another example of our EV technician program. EV is in huge demand these days. As we know, there are a lot of a lot of government initiatives happening which are trying to convert all the gasoline cars to EV, and that's why there is a huge demand of EV technicians in the market. And our program will not only teach you to work on EV cars, but it also covers the charging station side of it, because there is a huge demand of infrastructure as well, along with all these EVs. The three, I would say, three group of people who would benefit from EV program are automotive technicians who are interested in learning the power electronic side of the EV vehicle. The second group would be electricians who are interested in learning the installation, repair, and maintenance of the commercial level EV charging stations, and also the technicians who are interested in learning technology used in the EV manufacturing industry. So as you can see, this is another simulation software that comes with the EV program. It's the Circuit Logics. Circuit Logic simulation software has over 10,000 devices and components, including the high voltage EV components that can be easily picked from the device library, and then you can troubleshoot all the circuits used in the electric vehicle. This is an example of a Tesla Model S battery. You will learn how this battery charging stations work, and how to maintain and repair these charging stations, as well as one of the important concept here is to calculate the time it requires to charge the battery, because the reason you have to calculate that is to find out if the battery health of the car, as well as the SOC, the battery health of the charging station, is intact. And if it's not charging in the optimal time, you will need to send a technician to do the repairs over there. So it's a very interactive program. You will learn everything along with the theory. You'll learn the practical side of it as well. And as many manufacturing companies, they sponsor their employees to take our technical training programs. We also have, I can speed up the program a little bit. Here's the Student Resource Center example. But we also have the online exams, which are very important for our students to demonstrate the skills they have gained from the program, and provide the certificate to the employers to get a promotion at where they're working, or maybe a career change if they're looking for. Thank you. So next we'll look at the Student Resource Center. Our programs being completely online, that doesn't mean that students are left alone to figure out things on their own. We offer a very robust resource center to help students succeed in the completion of the program. Now, starting with the technical and tutorial support, dedicated toll-free phone line or email. We are open 7 days a week, Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as on weekends, we are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we are always here to help you with any questions you have. A lot of the time, everyone is scared if these programs are online. If they're stuck on any programming example, or if they're stuck on any lab project or any math question, will there be a help available? And the answer is yes. Our support staff is very experienced, very knowledgeable. They're always here to help you. If you can contact them by phone, email. But at the same time, we also have the online Student Resource Center, where there are different forums available where students can interact with other students enrolled in the same program. So you can have a discussion between students, as well as there is a separate forum where you can ask questions directly to the tutorial advisor. So there are multiple ways you can contact us. We are not going to leave you alone. We are always going to be there to help you throughout your program journey. And there's also a Facebook group where students and alumni can interact with each other, as well as share different news and resources, maybe have some healthy engagement over there as well. I think that's it on my end. Thank you everyone for your attention and joining us today. I hope I I gave you a good understanding on the structure of our programs, as well as how our simulation software plays an important role in preparing you for this, for the career in manufacturing industry. I will pass it back to Julia to continue with the presentation. Over to you, Julia.
Thank you, Geet. Hopefully this was a really helpful overview. And now we're ready to open the panel for questions. So Iris will read them out through the chat, and we'll address them one by one. So go ahead.
Yeah, we have a few questions that came in, mostly technical. So Geet, I'm going to direct them to you. The first one is, how does the PLC software connect with RX Logix 500?
That's a great question. Thank you, Iris. You will not be connecting the PLC software with RS Logix at all. Our simulation software is based on the RS Logix emulation tool. So our PLC Technician 1 program, it comes with the PLC 500, which is obviously based on the older generation of PLC, the 500, while the PLC Technician 2 program is the advanced PLC program, which is based on the latest version from Rockwell, which is the Studio 5000. We are both our simulation tools. They're replicating, you can say, a lot of the interface. If you look at the interface of our simulation, you will find it very similar to RS Logix. So when you graduate from this program, it will not be a huge transition for you to start working on RS Logix. Everything you need to learn is provided on our simulation. You will not have to connect anything to RS Logix. The engine that runs the ladder logic program is built in on the simulation tool that we provide. So you can create your ladder programs from scratch. You can run the simulation using one of the 3D manufacturing environments we looked at a few minutes ago. You can confirm the program is working, and then you can duplicate the same thing on RS Logix, or you can even, up to some extent, we also allow the import-export functionality. So you can export the program from our simulation import into RS Logix, sometimes vice versa, but it will depend on what kind of program you're working on.
The next question is asking about the differences between the automation technician program from the PLC program, and what's covered in automation and how it's different between what's covered in PLC. And they didn't differentiate between the PLC 1 and 2. So Geet, maybe you could talk about that as well.
For sure. Maybe I can start with automation first. So our automation technician program is you can say it covers modules from electromechanical, PLC2, and robotics. So it's more like it will give you an overview of how the world in electromechanical technician looks like, what kind of concepts you will learn on the PLC2 side as well as on the robotics. And a lot of our students, what they do is when they graduate from automation, depending on what their interest is, and a lot of the times even the automation technician is more than enough for a lot of companies, because they need someone who wears different hats, right? They need someone who is working on the automation side, on the robotic side, as well as on the PLC side. And for them, automation technician would be the perfect example. But a lot of our students, what we have seen over the years is after they graduate from automation, they'll enroll into one of the other programs like electromechanical, PLC2, or robotics, depending on what they're looking for. So they can specialize in that, because you will learn a lot more when you register into one of those individual programs. Now, to answer the question about the PLC 1 and 2, there are about 7 modules that overlap between the two programs, PLC 1 and PLC 2. So when you graduate from PLC 1 and if you register into PLC 2, you will not have to pay for all the modules. You will only have to pay for the remaining modules. So that way you will save some money, and it will be faster for you to graduate from the other program. And same applies to all the other programs. There are a lot of overlapping modules we have between different programs. So for example, automation, since it covers electromechanical, PLC2, and robotics, if you register into one of those individual programs after that, you will not have to pay for the modules that are covered in automation.
Could you clarify, Geet, about the fact that the question is PLC2 course, you said the software will be using Studio 5000. As I know, it's not free. So how can I use it while studying and practicing? Can you just explain again about the...
Yeah, for sure. We do not use Studio 5000. We emulate the Studio 5000. So our PLC Logix 5000 simulation software it emulates the Studio 5000. And as we know, Studio 5000 is very expensive, and it's not even available as it's a subscription-based license. So you have to continue to pay for it if you want to have access to it, right? But that's not the case with our simulation software. Once you register for the program, you will have lifetime access to our simulation tool, which is very similar to Studio 5000. We have when you as long as there are some restrictions, like because when you register, you get certain number of licenses for it. But when you install it on your computer, as long as you have that computer up and running, you will have lifetime license to PLC Logix 5000, which emulates the Studio 5000.
Some questions about the timing for this program. How long does it take to complete? Is there a deadline? When can I do the program? Julia, maybe you want to answer that one.
Sure. On average, the completion of our programs is anywhere between 28 weeks to 32 weeks of part-time study. Having said that, we've seen people either condense that study period if they're, maybe studying in a full-time capacity, or they can stretch it out even further. But on average, it takes anywhere between 28 to 32 weeks. In terms of when you can study, I think that was the other part of the question. So because our programs are online and self-directed, so they're on demand, you're really in control of your schedule. And they were designed on purpose with that flexibility. So to accommodate people's busy lives, so around your work schedule, your shift schedule, families, and anything else. So it's, in that sense, it's designed very flexible. So just to confirm, we don't have any faculty teaching live. So there's no instructor in front of you. This is text-based, web-based curriculum powered by the software as Geet has presented. However, we do have live technical and tutorial support. So if you're struggling for a question, whether it's a math question, or maybe even if you're having some technical difficulty with the software or something, some sort of connection, we have a live staff available Monday to Sunday. So we have extended hours. Monday to Friday, so weekdays, we open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And on weekends, we are open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can reach our consultants by toll-free phone number or by email, and somebody will be very responsive to your questions. Iris, does that answer the question, or is there another part to it?
No, that's it. Another question you may be able to ask is, am I able to keep all the learning material on my laptop after I complete the program?
100%, yes. So you can keep once you download the software, you get to keep it after graduation. That's one of the sort of differentiators and value added to our program, is that Geet mentioned some programs are subscription-based. So upon graduation, you will not get access to the materials. But with our programs, you can continue learning and practice in a safe environment using our simulation software post-graduation.
Julia or Geet, there are some questions about having the background you need to take any of our programs. I've answered the one specifically about EB. But Geet, do you want to just talk about the general prerequisites for our programs?
For sure. Yeah, I can take that. Thank you, Iris. So there are no prerequisites for any of our programs. We absolutely do not require you to have any background. All our programs starts from a very basic level. We will teach you all the necessary concepts you need to learn before we start putting you into advanced or intermediate practical programming examples that you'll be going through the programs. Sometimes it helps to have a background in terms of how fast you can finish the program. So the only advantage of having some, let's say, for example, electrical background for electronics, electromechanical, or PLC programs, some advantage is you may have some understanding of how relay logic work and all that, and it will give you a little advantage on finishing some of the initial modules pretty quickly. but that's the only advantage. Other than that, we cover everything you need to learn in our programs. There is absolutely no prerequisite. And depending on your background, how fast or slow you want to go through the course, it's completely up to you. It's very self-paced. There is no hard deadline from our end.
Geet, some people are asking, I think I lost the question. I'm sorry. Which program is best, excuse me, is best for them? Perhaps you could just tell them how they can contact one of our, or Julia.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a team of program advisors, program consultants who can answer any specific questions you may have regarding which program will fit you well for the job that you're working on or you're looking at moving into. So if you have any of those specific questions, please feel free to give us a call. Maybe we may have, there you go, sorry about that. So we have this toll-free number as well as the email and our website here too. You can always call us and talk to one of our program consultants, and they're very experienced. They've been dealing with this program for many, many years. So they will be able to give you the correct information based on your requirement, and they will guide you to enroll into the right program.
Julia, Marco's asking about once they're graduated, does George Brown help find a job in
That's
the field?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's primarily why you want to take the training, to see also what job opportunities available. So we don't have any formal co-op or job placements built into our programs. However, as Geet has shown to you, we do have a closed private student and alumni Facebook group. So it's a quite active group where we post recent updates and news and blogs and things like that related to the industry. But also, as you saw, we are working with quite a number of companies who send students for training. We keep those relationships, and often these companies will reach out to us and with job postings. So as soon as we get those job postings, we do post them in that Facebook group. So an add-on benefit is that you may get access to some exclusive job opportunities, but we do not have any kind of co-op job placements built into the program itself.
Thank you, Julia. Another question about the software, and is it only available for Windows-based computers, or can it be installed on Mac?
Yeah, I can answer that. That is correct. One of the requirements for our programs is it's strictly Windows based. It would not work on any other operating system like Mac OS, or a lot of these days the newer computers, they also come with the Chrome OS or any Linux distros. It would not work on any of those operating systems. It would only work on Windows OS, and also it needs to be a full Windows operating system. It cannot be one of those tablets which are running the minimal Windows version.
Shimona, have I missed any questions?
The ones that you've covered most of the important questions. That nothing much. There's a lot of overlapping in the questions which would have been answered.
Okay. We did get a question, a pre-submitted question, Julia. Thank you, Shimona, first of all. A pre-submitted question about is there financial aid for our programs?
Yeah, and I see that we are time, but we're happy to stay for a few more minutes if people are still around, may have some other questions. So regarding the financial aid, so we're not eligible for certain grants such as Pell, VA benefits, or OSAP, which requires students to pursue a degree or attend school on a full-time basis. However, other forms of financial aid is available, like Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, if you're familiar with it, as well as Better Jobs Ontario government initiatives. And as we also mentioned, oftentimes companies will sponsor their students. So we do encourage to check with your companies to see if you might be eligible through some sort of companies' workforce training initiatives for the coverage of these programs.
We did have a question about emailing the webinar and the slides that we've shared with everybody.
Yes, we will be sharing the presentation with you and the recording. So watch out for that email, and we'll circulate again the contact information of our consultants. So I'm sure you may have some other questions down the road, or even if you want to spend one-on-one time, just like figure out which program is right for you, maybe going into a little bit more detail in the curriculum. Our specialists are very knowledgeable in our programs, and you can definitely have that one-on-one consultation.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of questions I see here on chat, if I may jump in here, Iris. So one I see from John here is asking if it will be possible for him to install this software on work computer as well as on the personal computer or iPad. So to answer your question, John, you will be able to install it on multiple computers. When you register for the program, all the students are given 3 licenses for the software, which allows them to install on up to 3 computers. The reason being, the exact same situation that you are in. A lot of our students, they will install one on their personal computer as well as on their work computer, because a lot of the time their company is sponsoring them to take the program. So they also give them some time to study during the day when they're at work. So so that helps having it on a work computer. And when in the evening and on weekends, if they want to continue studying, they can use it on their personal. But in terms of iPad, unfortunately, you cannot, because again, this is strictly Windows-based program. So if you have a tablet running full Windows operating system, then you can install it on a tablet as well. The second question here, Shimona sent me, is one of the participant today. It's regarding Siemens, Schneider, ABB, and all those different vendors. Our PLC programs are strictly based on Allen Bradley, which is one of the very popular or the most used the Rockwell automation in North America, and that's what our programs are focused on. But the concepts that you'll be learning in our programs, for example, in PLC, you'll be learning the ladder logic programming. Now, ladder logic programming stays the same no matter where you go. So the concepts you will be learning for the program will remain the same. It's more like object-oriented programming. Once you know the concepts of it, doesn't matter if you're doing the C++ or Java or any other language. The variables or the syntax names would be different for different vendors, but the fundamentals, the object-oriented, stays the same. And same applies to PLC as well. And in terms of robotics and EV and all other programs, our programs are very generic. They're not focused on any specific brand. So you will be learning for different, it's in a very generic way that you can apply it on different vendors.
Pete, there's another question. It's kind of a general question, but basically they're asking about the EV training and sort of what aspects does it cover? 3 different aspects. And my understanding, or what I'm getting from this, is, does it cover charging stations? Maybe you could just touch upon who, like the kinds of things we cover and who might like to take this program.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier during the presentation, our EV technician program focuses on 3 group of individuals. One would be automotive technicians who are interested in learning the high power systems used in the EV, because it's very important. When we talk about EV, you can consider it as a battery on wheels, and the battery that we're talking about here are the high voltage batteries, right? So it's super important. We cannot emphasize enough here that it's very important for the person working on the vehicle, as well as the person riding the vehicle, or even the first responders, to have information or the knowledge about this high voltage systems used in EV. And what we cover in our programs is there are so many courses explaining you about this, but at the same time, there are so many practical examples that will teach you the safety requirements, the maintenance and repair of all this high voltage circuitry using our circuit logic simulation software. And to answer your question about who other would benefit from this program is the electricians who are interested in learning how to maintain, repair, and install the charging station. Because as we all know, there are a lot of government initiatives pressuring everyone to migrate to EV. And as they are saying, by 2035, 80% of the vehicles in Canada will be EV, and same applies to US as well, up to some point. In fact, California is way ahead of everyone in the entire world. But with all these EVs on the road, the biggest question everyone has is the range anxiety, and range anxiety is still there, and we can see a lot of hesitation from general public to buy an EV because of this range anxiety. But to lower the range anxiety, we need the infrastructure to support this, right? Maybe not more, but at least as many gas stations that we have right now, there should be charging stations available, the commercial charging stations. And with the demand of this infrastructure, there is always going to be demand of electricians who can work on this charging station. So that's another area that we cover in our EV technician program. And also the technicians who are interested in working in the manufacturing industry, in the EV manufacturing industry. It could be at a designing level, engineering team, or even up to some extent in the sales, right? Because you need to have information about EV cars and charging stations if you're going to take up a role related to EV.
Geet, someone has asked if they can directly jump into the PLC Technician 2 program, or do they need to take the first PLC program?
I can see that question here as well. Thank you, Iris. And what I see is they have bachelor in electrical engineering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have some background, as you mentioned, you have Bachelor of Electrical Engineering, you can definitely jump into PLC Technician 2. It is not required for you to have PLC 1 before taking PLC 2. The huge difference between PLC 1 and 2 is PLC 1 is based on the older generation of Allen Bradley PLC. So if you're working in a company, because this is something that a lot of our prospects, this is a very common question a lot of our prospects have, and before they register into the program. If you're working in a company and they are using the older generation of PLC, because for a company to change PLC is a huge cost. So and if you're able to get everything out from the older generation, a lot of companies still do not migrate over, and they're still using the older generation. So if you're working in a company which is using the older generation of PLC, then you register into PLC 1 because that's what your company is using. But if you're looking to move into a company and a lot of companies are using the newer generation, then yes, you can directly register into PLC 2 because that you will learn everything about Studio 5000. So the difference, the main difference is the type of programming. With PLC 2, it is the tag-based programming, where you'll be assigning all the tags to different contexts and everything on the ladder program.
There's another question about are our certificates recognized worldwide?
Okay, I can maybe jump in on that one. So as I mentioned, George Brown College is a public, fully accredited college in Toronto, Canada, and by us, Canada itself being one of the top destinations for students all over the world, our certificates and credentials are recognized around the world. By completing our courses, you will get CEUs, continuing education credits. So those credits could be transferable to other institutions, as well as our certificates are well recognized. In fact, because we offer online, on-demand kind of learning, our students are often not just local students or Canadian students. We have a lot of international students and from US. So, of course, you would have to work with your local, if you're transferring credits to a local institution or you're working with employers, go through the proper steps. But we have many students who in the past used our training and successfully transfer to other programs or, been employable in international organizations. So Canadian certificates are valid quite a bit on the international labor market. So we are well recognized in that space. And as you saw from our history, we've been around since 1998. So we already have a robust legacy in being one of the top providers in this area.
I think we've covered most of the questions. I apologize if I've missed your question. And
I think we're already pretty much at time and a little bit over time. So maybe at this note, I want to thank everyone again for joining this session. I think we had a really great participation and really good questions. And hopefully through this presentation and this Q&A, we were able to answer most of them. And if we haven't, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. As I said, we have very knowledgeable consultants that can have one-on-one sessions with you. And we hope to see you again, either through these consultation sessions or maybe you're becoming our students. So hopefully it's not a goodbye. Thank you again, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. And if we missed anyone's question, please do not hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to answer it.
yeah, I'm just typing the information into the chat. So our toll-free number and our email address are so you can contact us directly.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone.